Well, that was Joe Inwood in Kyiv. Now, Ukraine says at least 3 people have been killed after a Russian airstrike on a building sheltering civilians in the eastern city of Lysychansk. That's according to the governor of Luhansk. Let's talk now to Nataliya Bugayova, Russia Research Fellow at the Institute for the Study of War. Thank you so much for being here with us on the programme. Every detail of the attacks on those twin cities of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk are ominous and they are relentless. What is the latest that you are hearing?
Yes, thanks for having me. Russia continues its ground attacks on the city of Severodonetsk and its surroundings. Russia does not yet control the city in the full in our latest assessment, and Ukrainian defenders remain in the industrial area of Azot chemical plant in the town.
And in terms of Lysychansk, how difficult is that going to be for the Russians to take it? Because bit by bit, there's been a Ukrainian retreat across the river. We know the bridges have been destroyed.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's going to be a grinding, continue to be a grinding offensive, in part because actually Severodonetsk is the first place at which Russian forces concentrated since February. And this is one of the reasons why they're inflicting such high losses on the Ukrainian side, but they're also exhausting themselves in the process. Russians will prioritize now to try to take control over the highway from Severodonetsk towards Lysychansk and Bakhmut to take Lysychansk, but they're also trying to mount a simultaneous offensive on city of Slavyansk in the Donetsk region from both Izum and Liman axes.
Now, we've seen those 3 European leaders today in Ukraine. Give me your assessment of where Ukraine is militarily 116 days into this war and where Russia is.
No, absolutely. I think, Ukraine has successfully forced Russia to scale down some of its operational aims by pushing Russia away from Kiev, by winning the Battle of Kharkiv, but also by preventing Russia to take control over Donbass quickly. That said, I think Ukraine right now is in a vulnerable moment because it's running out of some of the old Soviet munitions and supplies while it hasn't fully transitioned onto the Western equipment. And I think it's essential for the West to do 2 things. One, accelerate the delivery of the weapon systems to expedite that transition, but also to commit to sustained deliveries of the weapons to help Ukraine not just defend, but expel Russian forces. On the Russian side, I'll mention that generating combat-capable manpower remains a key challenge. They are taking major losses as well. They are running out of ways to bring more people to the fight without calling a full mobilization, and they are exhausting their forces through this grinding offensive in Severodonetsk. I think Russia will have a hard time generating substantially more combat-capable power in the short term that's sufficient for them to take large cities outside of the Donetsk and Luhansk region.
A brief final thought, because what do you think Russia's ultimate aims are? Have they changed? Because interesting, only yesterday the former Russian President Medvedev was answering a question, and in it he said, if Ukraine even exists on the map in 2 years' time.
Yeah, excellent question. Russian aims have not changed. They remain in control of Ukraine. I didn't see any indication of that changing anytime soon. I think that intent will pass on to Putin's successor until we see evidence of otherwise. But Ukraine's goals haven't changed either. It's liberation of its people and territory as the only way to achieve lasting peace and prevent further attacks, but also atrocities happening on people trapped in the occupied territories.
Nataliya Bugayova, we have to leave it there, but thank you very much for that assessment. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.